and welcome back to my channel. This is Start a Boutique with Raquel, and I am Raquel. And since 2006, I have started and scaled multiple online and brick and mortar boutiques, and now I teach women like yourself how to start and scale thriving boutique businesses of their own. I also have lots of free resources and downloads on my website, startaboutique.com. So if you haven't checked that out yet, make sure to check out my website. I'll also put some links below to make it easy for you. So whether you're just getting started in the boutique business or you're looking for ways to increase your sales, make sure to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on any important boutique business tips. All right, so today's video is a little bit different, so I'm really excited about that. I think you guys are really going to enjoy today's video because today's video is an interview with another online boutique owner, and her name is Samantha. She has a really cool concept behind her boutique, and she's also just a really great person. So I talked to Samantha about how it is to run a business, being a mom. She also gives lots of great advice for new boutique owners who are just getting started. All right, let's go check out the interview. All right, so let's get started. Today we have Samantha, who is an online boutique owner. And I would love for you to tell us the name of your boutique, what your boutique is about, where you're located. Are you just online? Tell me all of the info.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. So, as you said, my name is Samantha, and I am the owner of On the Hill Boutique. So, it is an online store designed for women, particularly women of faith who desire to dress in a more modest fashion, but desire to do so in a way where they still feel confident, still feel cute, maybe still have some trendy pieces in their closet. And so, just providing clothes for women to be able to be cute and covered is what I like to say.
I like that.
Yeah,
That's
right.
cute.
So yeah, we're definitely we're an online store. You can find us online at onthehillboutique.com.
So how did you come up with that idea to launch that type of boutique?
Yeah, so I am a Christian woman by faith, and I remember being in college, and that was kind of the years where I transitioned into trying to dress more modest. I realized before that a lot of the clothes that I wore was really for attention, which was a deeper issue that I had within, right? Like I desired to wear certain jeans that made my butt look a certain way because I knew I would get a certain amount of attention. And so I, for some time, took a break away from those clothes to kind of dig deep within and, just grow in confidence and grow in security of who I am as a woman. And so from there, it kind of birthed the desire of wanting to remain in modest fashion for myself, but also just as a person of faith, we often try to encourage others to look at what we do, not only in the sense of how it affects us, but how it affects other people. And so, wanting to be an example for other women, wanting to dress in a way where people looked at me and they saw God, right? And they weren't so distracted with my breast and my butt and all of the things that I enjoyed, honestly, attention for. And so, it was a tough time. I dressed modest, but I just struggled with finding cute pieces. I thought it was just all dark clothes, and I felt like a grandma half of the time, and people even called me grandma most of the time. So when I decided to launch this online boutique, it was to have that same desire for women that wanted to be modest, but to show that it doesn't have to be frumpy. You don't have to be a grandma. It can be color, it can be patterns, it can be beautiful, and you can be confident while doing so.
Oh my gosh, I like literally love that so much. Like I hear a lot of reasons why people open boutiques, but I feel like this is like one of the better, explanations or like reasons behind a boutique. And I always say, you have to have like a really strong reason why, and you have to have like what's unique about you or your boutique. And I think you have really nailed that with your concept here.
Yeah, thank you.
How did you get started? So explain like when you, I guess, had the idea of it, and then how that process went and how long it took you to launch and when you actually launched and all of the nitty gritty details behind getting to the point of actually launching your online boutique.
Yeah, so I got the desire in 2019. I think the first person I spoke to about it was my husband, who thought it was an amazing idea and was so supportive about it. And so from there, I didn't know how to even go about starting a boutique. So I think I just Googled a lot, which was so confusing because there's so many answers out there.
It's like a
For
different answer for like,
everything.
yeah.
It's so confusing. So I did a lot of YouTube. I really started to do a lot of the groundwork probably around September, October of 2019. And then I launched officially in January 2020. So it's not even been a year yet, almost a year. But
Okay.
yeah, pretty new.
I love that about YouTube and just I guess the internet in general now, like because that's like one of the things like when I got started in 2006 there was like literally, I mean, at that time nothing even like close to, information on how to do what I wanted to do. So it was a lot of like figuring things out on my own. But now like I love that about the internet that you can like I could learn. Lately I'm like, I think I want to learn the ukulele. Where do I go? YouTube, like it's just like the most random thing that you can think of that you want to do, and you can find information out there. And I love the fact that I've taken so many, online courses myself. I now offer an online course myself as well. And I just love that part of it too, because you can get all the information, instead of like sitting there and Googling and getting all like different answers. It's like, okay, like I connect with this person. Like, you said that you had a connection in a certain, way, and they're doing what I want to do. Like, just tell me how you did it so I can do it too. And that's like totally me right now too. It's like, okay, like if I see something that it's like, I want to do that. It's like, okay, let me buy the course because I don't have time.
Yeah.
Especially now, you have a son, right?
So we're
And
pregnant
how?
again.
Oh, you are! Congrats. Okay, so how old is your son, and when are you due?
So my son will be 2 in January, and then we are due with another baby boy in February.
Okay, yay. Yeah. So, I mean, especially like I was saying with kids, it's like, I really don't have time for this.
Yeah,
Like, get to
right.
the point. So related to that, I'd love to ask you like how you manage like your day, like as far as like being a mom, being a boutique owner. Are you still working full time? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my life is crazy. A lot of transitions, and I think COVID is this year has been crazy for everyone. But so recently, I was a mental health therapist, so I did intensive in-home therapy with children and their families, and so I was doing that while also. I was an online doctoral student, so I have my master's, and I
Oh,
was
nice.
in school as well
Yeah.
with a toddler who was like still nursing at the time. And then I had my online boutique. I don't know. I don't know. People ask me all the time. They're like, "What are you thinking? Are you crazy?" And then my husband, he's super busy, so I don't even know how we did it. But once we found out that we were pregnant again, I did realize it was starting to take a toll, the amount of things that I was doing. And so
Hmm.
at that point, I had to really sit down and see what was a priority. And for me, my family and my health was priority above all else. And so I decided, or we decided, for me to take a step away from my full time job, which has been the best thing I could have done because I can't give what I don't have, right? And so I've been home with my son, just kind of doing some homeschooling stuff and just taking care of myself as I prepare for our second baby. But I've also been able to dedicate so much more time to my boutique, and I've seen the growth from being able to dedicate more time to it as well. So um, it's still difficult because my son's not in daycare. He's
Yeah.
here, and I'm pregnant, and I'm tired, and I'm
Yeah.
exhausted. And so
It's,
nap time and when he goes to bed is like when I'm like ripping and doing everything that I can do
yeah.
so that he has my attention throughout the day. But yeah,
It's definitely still like you leave a full time job, you definitely still have a full time job.
basically,
It's just a different
basically.
one. And it's, I mean, in my opinion, definitely more rewarding, but definitely still a lot of work. It's a lot of like getting things done during nap time and just like not sleeping.
Yep, that's how it is some days. That's really how it is some days.
And like, yeah. And I pretty much, I guess try to tell people too, like, or moms, like thinking like you have to do it all. It's like, you don't, and nobody is. unless, there's like tons of help. So like, don't think that any of us are doing it all. Like, we're not. Like, my house is a mess. If you could see what was like behind all these doors and on the floor, even of this office, like, it's a mess. So like, one thing or another is like being not taken care of. And so like, my priorities are like, okay, the kids, and then, my businesses. And so something gets left behind, and that's the house.
You're always going to say no to something.
Yes,
something.
yes. It's just a matter of what that is and what your priority is.
Exactly.
Okay, so tell us about when you made your first sale. How did you celebrate? And just like that overall feeling in general, or like even like what you did up until your launch to kind of get the word out there. Because I know a lot of people want to know, how do you create buzz or create a following, or like what type of strategy did you use to launch and to like launch to sales?
Yeah. So I also have a YouTube channel. And so around that time, I started a series where I just basically discuss the importance of having faith over fear and stepping out and doing the things that, you feel led to do, or the things that you have a strong passion or desire to do. And so I kind of use that series to sort of build up to this big announcement that everybody was like, what is it? It's another baby, isn't it? It's another baby. But at that time, it was not another baby yet, right? And so everyone was like tuning in and trying to figure out what it was. And so while I was doing that on the back end, I was working on like the social media page, and I was working on like the website, like, doing a lot of the back end things. And so once I finally made the announcement, people were super excited about it. So I already had something for them to funnel to, which was the social media page. I already had like the email list up, so they can go ahead and start sending over their emails, so I could, build that up. And so for me, it was using something to build the anticipation, which was like a series, which you don't have to have social or YouTube to do that. You could do that right on social media.
Mm-hmm.
But those are kind of the avenues that I use to sort of, build momentum up. And then once we launched, it was nice because I had did so many months work of just getting the word out there, that by the time we launched, I had like over 100 people on my email list, like in almost 300 followers already that were ready to go. And so those are kind of the ways that I just kind of got the word out. And so once we launched, I just remember being so anxious. And my husband was in the room with me, like recording me. And I was like, turn the camera off. Like, I'm stressed out, because I was scared. Like, what if I don't get any sales? And what's going to happen? And so I was just a hot mess. But I think once that first sale came through and I heard the cha-ching from Shopify, I was like, oh my God, I got a sale.
I know. I feel like that sound like changes your life. And it's like you get one and it's like, okay, like how do I get more of these? It's like, it's terrible. It's like, okay, like I just had 3, but can I have 3 more?
Like, just 2 more for the night.
yeah, exactly. Then I can go to bed.
Right.
Fun. That sounds, I always like to ask people that question, because I know that that's like a huge like defining moment, like when you hear that sound. And so I always like to hear how people feel, and the excitement behind that.
Yeah.
So let's see. What was the final push for you to follow your dreams and start a boutique? So what was like the moment that you felt like, okay, this is right for me, and this is definitely, what I want to do?
Yeah. I think the moment. So I was the type of person that I just felt like I need to prepare. And my husband's the kind of person, he's like, look, just start it and prepare as you go. Like, stop talking about it. Just get out there and do it. And so I think it was understanding that that kind of like what you said in the beginning, this boutique for me was more than just clothes. Like there was an actual heart and passion behind it. And that was wanting people to really, or specifically women, to really see their worth and value beyond their body and beyond the attention that their body could receive, right? Just having that confidence within themselves. And so for me, it was drawing back to that passion and that vision that I really had, and having people in my corner, like my husband, who was just like, okay, look, here's the money, go do what you need to do, no more excuses, just get it done. That for me was just like, okay, this is kind of bigger than me. And so, like I said, it was more than just clothes. It was an actual heart and vision that I wanted to see come to pass for women. And I think that was that moment for me, was when I realized it was bigger than just the clothes or the money that kind of came with it.
And I love that, like obviously like you can plan so much, but at some point, you just have to like launch and do it and then go from there and like tweak as you go. Because I mean, if we waited until everything was perfect, nobody would ever launch. It's like you just got to do it. And then like as you go along, you're still going to be learning things. I mean, like me, I think it's like 15 years. I don't even want to say that out loud. 15 years later now. And it's like, you're still constantly learning new things. And like, things change with time too, of, ways that you can market your boutique and things like that. So I think that's great advice. Just launch. There's so much that you can like prepare for. But at some point you just got to do it.
Just have to. And I had to get to the point where I said, okay, if it doesn't work, or if I fail, which I don't even think you can fail, right? Like as long as you try, there's really not so much of failing. Maybe there's just some work that needs to be done. But for me, it was like, at least I can say I did it, right? At least I just got to the point where I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna go for it, and we'll see what happens. And if it doesn't work, then
Oh
hey,
wow,
it's
yeah.
okay. Life goes on, right? We'll
Yeah.
try again. We'll figure out what didn't work and try again. But I'm so glad that I just went ahead and got started at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's definitely another big one too. That we're all in the same position. We're all like afraid to do new things. But I like what you said, that like you don't think that there's failure or whatever, because I also believe that as well. Like, how do you stay motivated and how do you like keep going when, say, like you're not having like great sales, or something doesn't go right, or you're just having kind of like a down day? How do you keep that motivation to like keep going?
Yeah. If I can be honest, I realize my biggest pitfall is probably social media and following a bunch of people and comparing. I think if that wasn't there, then I really wouldn't. I wouldn't know what other people are doing. I wouldn't have anything to compare to. Therefore, I really wouldn't feel so discouraged or so down about what it is that I'm trying to do. Most of the days I realize like I'm doing good. I'm working on things on the back end, but the moment I get on that Instagram app and I start scrolling and
Yeah.
I see what another boutique is doing, or I see what this person is doing, it's just like, man, well, they just look like they have all the sales in the world, and my sales, are slowing
Mhm.
down, or their aesthetics are so amazing, or they have all of this inventory, or they have all of these followers. That was a big one for me for a long time, was followers, followers, followers. And so I think for me is learning to disconnect. Like as powerful as social media is and how beautiful it is for my business, I realize that at the same time, I do have to disconnect at some points. And so when I see myself getting to that point, usually it's connected with some level of too much exposure to social media for me personally. And I hate to say that, but it's so honest.
Uh-huh.
And so for me, it's taking inventory of what is causing me to feel discouraged, which, like I said, is usually social media, and then taking a break when necessary, and even unfollowing some people if I need to, so that I'm not too distracted, or limiting my time. Obviously, like I still have to show up for my business. I try to post every day, so it's maybe using an automated system rather than
Mhm.
me having to get on social media and post. That way there's just less time of me getting caught up in what everyone else is doing. but I think at the same time, also just because you can't hide from the world forever. And so at some point, you got to do some work on yourself. So, really, for me, just also taking inventory of my own thoughts and the way that I am viewing myself and my business, and understanding that everyone has their own lane. And it's important just for me to show up in my lane and to deliver, um, and to not worry about what everyone else is doing. And so, those are kind of the things that I do to get me out of that rut or that place of discouragement.
So how did you get over the feeling? Because people always think that you need like thousands or tens of thousands of followers to like be successful really at anything. I feel like right now, like I feel like people are like, oh well, I need a following to be able to do that, and I just like, I personally don't think that's true at all. Like the amount of followers does not mean like how successful you are. So how do you, what was there like anything that helped you realize that, or did you just have to like, I guess, work on that, just within yourself type of thing?
Yeah, honestly, I still struggle with those thoughts till this day.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna act like I've arrived and like I don't care about followers. I still do. I hate it, but I do, right?
Yeah.
Especially when I realize I've lost like two or three. I'm like, for what? Like, why
What
did
did
I
I
lose two or
do?
three? And so, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I still struggle with it a little bit, but I have to continue. I heard someone say, and so I remind myself of this: is that followers don't equate sales. And so there's some boutiques that may have lots of followers, but maybe their sales aren't there. That doesn't mean that people are buying. But one thing I can say is that my following isn't very big, but I get consistent sales. I get the support. My community is there. They're connected to what I'm doing. Recently, I've been challenging myself to like message everyone that follows me, just to have a personal conversation with them. See, what do you love about the boutique? How can I better serve you? And the things that these women have been sharing with me about how this boutique has impacted them, it means so much to me. And so in those moments, I'm reminded that followers don't matter. It's the relationship that you build with the however many people that you have. And so it does still get to me sometimes. I'm still working through it. But I pull on those moments of like encouragement that I've received from people that have purchased from my store, or just seeing the success that I have had with the following that I have now.
And I do think you have that figured out, that it is not about the followers, it's about the connection that you have with your customer. Like you could have a ton of followers that are just following you for whatever reason that you don't have, a connection with, that never buy from you. So it's definitely, in my opinion, a lot more important to have that connection with your customers or your potential customers, or just, that they're resonating with you in some sort of way. And so I think you definitely do have that part figured out. And I love that, like, it's just like, I think we all struggle with that at some point, where it's like, oh, like the comparison factor of like, oh well, they have all these followers and they're doing this and they're doing that, I could never do that. And it's like, well, you and your boutique are going to do something in your own unique way with, that somebody that, will not resonate with that boutique, but they're going to resonate with you for whatever reason, because there is something unique about you and what you're doing in your business. So yeah, I love this. I love this conversation. It's like, I feel like it's going so much deeper than I thought it was going to. Like, okay, let me just get my interview questions, but it's so much more than that. Okay, so tell us what a day in the life looks like for you, like lately. Like as far as like, running your boutique, do you have like a certain schedule that you try to stick to, or is it just kind of like whatever is going on for the day, or how do you like manage like any sort of schedule being like your own boss?
Yeah. So it looks different every day. Something that someone once told me is you have to find a way to show up for your business every day. No matter how big or how small it is, just show up every day. And so for me, I do try to do things like post on social media every day, which usually I try to take my weekends to plan. So on Sunday, I'll plan out all my content for the weekend, kind of use an app to automate that and get that going. I try to really connect with my email subscribers. So I try to send one email a week, not even about sales or about my store, but just some weekly encouragement or weekly inspiration to kind of get them through the week. And then I try to show up on my stories every day, just to, whether it's lifestyle updates, so that people see that there's a person behind my store. Like, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, and I'm a person. I'm human, just like you. It's not just me trying to sell to you and get your dollars, right? Like, there's more to it. So I don't have like a consistent schedule. Obviously a lot of that goes with having a toddler. So when he goes down for a nap, I'm like, 2 hours. What can I get done with 2 hours? And so whether that's sending out emails or engaging with people, or just typically before I was pregnant, I would do like different style videos or style inspo to show people different ways to dress up inventory throughout different seasons, et cetera, et cetera. So that looks a little different now because I'm not fitting in any of the inventory at the moment. But so those are some things that I try to do on a daily basis.
Awesome. I love that. So I guess we're still related to that one. What is the best thing about being your own boss or being able to run your own business? What is the best part about that for you?
I think it's being able to actually do something that I enjoy, that it's not like a burden for me to do. It's not something I'm doing just for a paycheck. Like, I'm enjoying it. And I think it goes back to what I said before, because it's so much deeper than just clothes for me. I enjoy the conversations that I have with women in my DMs, and I enjoy just the engagement of being able to talk to them about their faith. And it goes deeper than just clothes. I think the clothes kind of opens the door, but it allows me to really build relationship, which in the end is amazing, because it builds more solidified relationships, and then people do buy in the end. But I think just having a focus that's beyond a store and beyond sales, I think for me has been one of my favorite things.
Awesome. Yeah. I love the fact that it's like now that you are not working full time, now you get to spend that time with, your toddler and soon to be your baby, but you still get to be doing something that you love too. And I think that's really what life is all about, right? And if you can make a little money from it,
doesn't hurt.
Exactly. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so I think this is one of my last questions, and this is a good one. What is your number one piece of advice for aspiring boutique owners? Good one.
No, that's a good one.
It felt really intense.
That's a good one. I would say, number one, I would say not to compare. I think that is probably the biggest thing. I think knowing who you are showing up to serve, so knowing your target audience, knowing who it is that you desire to reach, and really being intentional to stay in your lane and show up in that place, and to not compare that to what anyone else is doing. How well it seems like another boutique may be doing. I think just really focusing on yourself. I know that sounds selfish, but really focusing on yourself and what you're here to do, and show up in that space confidently, and don't worry about what anyone else is doing. Because sometimes what we think they're doing, they're not really doing.
Right.
It looks nice on social media. But then I've had conversations with people, just offline, and it's like, oh, okay. So
yeah, a lot of times we don't see what's happening behind social media. We may think we do, but we don't.
Right.
I definitely only post pictures of my smiling toddler. Do you think he smiles all the time? He does not. He does not. I only show this picture of my clean office. Do you see the floor? You do not.
That's why we're right here.
Exactly. We're just going to stay in this zone. Awesome. Well, is there anything else that you would like to share or chat about before we wrap things up here?
Yeah, no, I think the last thing I would say, something that I used to think was that there was no reason for me to start my boutique because it just seemed like an overpopulated space. Like there were already a lot of boutiques and there were already so many people doing it. I mean, I think you can have that mindset towards anything in life. Like you just feel like there are already so many people doing it. I don't need to do it. But I would just encourage individuals to remember like there's only one of you, right? And so even if there's another boutique or another whatever it is doing something that's so similar, they don't have the same experiences you have, they don't have the same mindset, and they're just simply not you. Um, and so when you choose not to do something that your purpose to do, like we're missing out on that. And there's specific people that you are meant to target. And even if it's not the millions and thousands, like I had to get to that point where I may not reach a million people. But in reality, you do, right? Like every person you reaches another person that reaches another person. So at the end of the day, I'm reaching millions, right?
There
It
you
just
go.
show it on
Yeah.
social media. But, like being okay with that and being okay and being content with who you're supposed to show up and serve and doing that with confidence. So, yeah.
Awesome. I love that. And I love all the advice that you've given everybody. I feel like this was such an inspiring interview. So thank you so much for doing this.
No, thank you for having me. This is fun.
All right, I hope you guys learned a lot from Samantha. I know I did. She's very inspirational. I love chatting with her. So thank you, Samantha, again for talking with us and giving some new boutique owners advice on how they can get started as well. I'll link the info below for Samantha's boutique if you want to check her out either on her website or social media. And if you love this video and you want to see more like it, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel because I don't want you to miss out on anything. All right, I'll see you in next week's video. Bye.